recording, starting to record. We are live here in 3, 2, 1. And what is up, Jason of the Metal Mixtape here on KSGQ 89.5 FM, Ashland. What is up?
What is happening, Omar?
What
It's a
is up?
beautiful day. I'm stoked to be here with you guys. You guys are just rocking it out. It's tight. I'm stoked. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for reaching out, dude. One thing I always preach on this show is that, it doesn't matter if you're small, a smaller band, a bigger band, big label. It's like if you got that passion, dude, we want you on the show, and you got that passion.
You got to put in the work, bro. Like, there's so many bands out there. They just think, oh, I'm gonna write a few songs and then I'm gonna be famous, and it don't work like that. It's actually, there's work involved. Back in the day when I was coming up, ages ago, like it was like you had to go out on the street and pass out flyers and go to the other concerts and pass out flyers and hit the record stores and just take your staple gun and fucking burn audio cassettes and shove them down people's throats. The internet is a little different model, but there's always work to do, and if you believe in it, it's and you're passionate about it, you can actually do something with it. But you can't just sit in your room and fart around a little bit and think something's gonna just magically happen. There's work. You got to work.
For sure. I think both generations of the older generation and newer generation both have their perks. I think nowadays
for real.
It's so much easier to do it yourself nowadays. Especially with manufacturing your own CDs, the distribution of tracks. Back in the day, you would have had to spend hundreds of dollars on CDs and be handing them out and mailing them out to people. And nowadays, if you do your algorithms right, if you're likable, if you have a good logo and you got some catchy music, I mean, you could almost just become a band that sits at home.
Bro, like I've always been of the belief, like we've been fully independent from day one, and we did have offers along the way, to get signed and stuff like that. But I was always like, no, and even now, I'm like, I get emails from like, hey, we'll sign your band, and I'm like, I'm good, man. Like I do all this shit myself. It's time consuming sometimes, but it's just you get more creative control, and you don't have some dirtbag manager ripping you off and that kind of thing, and it's just all too common. You don't want to become like a heavy metal cliche, cracked out and broke. It's not something I'm interested in, or being a traveling t-shirt salesman. It's like you don't make no money in a band. So I advocate, I always tell younger bands, have a day job, make some money so you can support your music habit. But yeah, being independent is the way to go in my mind, especially with the internet the way it is and the model that's out there. So, yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. In my opinion, I definitely think it's like to each their own, because I feel like with music is that there's a difference between people who want it and people who would do anything to get it.
Right. It's like you want to sell your soul, you better do the math.
Yeah.
to quote Ice Cube.
It's the whole walk. It's either the walk or talk the talk. But you don't have to. You don't have. I don't think you have to be the best musician to make it in the industry. Honestly, a lot of it is.
Well, a lot of it too is like, what's your brand? Like, are you just like a couple of dudes that are like total shredders that sit in your bedroom and shred, and like, but that's great, but can you write a song? Can you build a project? Can you build a brand and identity and write music and songs that connect with people? Do those songs move people? I feel super grateful. I feel like, I got kind of lucky. I did put a lot of work in this. I've been jamming since I was a kid, and the Becoming Tribe, our fans are they're freaking cool, dude. and they kind of get what we're doing, like you just heard our song, How We Livin', right? I always talk about how we're metal for life. And not like this, I'm metal for life, bro. Like I live in my mom's basement. I'm anti-conformist. No, it's not that kind of metal for life. This is metal to help people through their life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no offense to the other style, but it's like the songs I write, they're designed to take people away from the bullshit, help them to get some fresh perspectives and come out of it feeling like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go kick life's ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I dig it, man, and kind of like what you're saying. You know, music has to be really impactful. You know, and also, you know, like you know, you got to really want something, but you truly got to love it, because I
For
feel like
real.
the thing is, I feel you put the most effort when it's effortless.
Yeah, and it
Effortless.
doesn't feel like work, right? That's what I say too, man. It's like, so for my day job, I run a sales team for a cybersecurity company. So, it's like I'm basically babysitting salespeople most of the time, and, trying to motivate and inspire them and stuff like that, and with that, you kind of take on the role of a mentor, and, you've been there, you've done that, you know what to watch out for. So like, hey, here's how we're going to maximize, right? So like, as far as music's concerned, like the best advice I could give to independent bands nowadays is like pick up the legal book, right? Learn about like copyrights and publishing and licensing, and figure out the ins and outs of the business, how you're gonna make sure everything is taken care of, right? Because you don't want to just be get to a point where the wheels just fall off and then you're like Milli Vanilli or something. You don't need that kind of stuff. So just be smart about your business, make it like a business, and most importantly, like the singer Matt Heafy at Trivium told me, he's like, do it for you, something that you love, and it's like, and my old music teacher, Dave Gundacker, said that too. He's like, man, just do something really cool that you love, and don't worry about what everybody else thinks.
Hey, Jason, are you aware that Trivium is my favorite band?
Yeah, I heard you mention them a couple of times, dude. Like, so we released our album and by the way, let's talk about Trivium for a second. When they came out, I loved the Gunshot to the Head of Trepidation album. Like Pull Harder on the Strings, Your Martyr. That shit was tight, right? I mean, you feel me, right, Omar? Like that was epic. And what's even cooler is like, so they got a bad rap for a while because they were younger, they were coming up, and the older bands weren't giving them respect. And now all the older bands are looking at them going like, oh shit, how do you guys even work the internet? Because look at what Matt's doing. He got his Twitch stream, he's live streaming, he's people, like, he makes money, people watching him play video games and open his lunch, dude, you know? And he just bought an airplane hangar, right? He don't have a practice studio. He motherfucker
You
bought it.
want
Oh, sorry. Sorry to
to
swear, but I almost dropped an F-bomb.
No, I feel you. But the thing is with Trivium is that I'm 32 years old, so I've been into them since I was 15. I was like a freshman in high school, and you know what? They took a lot of risk, And Matt, he always preached, he wanted to be the best he can be, And I remember like hearing, quotes by like Dave Grohl is like, "Don't be your idol, strive to be better than your idol," type of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, all
You
of
know what I
my
mean?
idols that I met, I was disappointed, Like,
Here's,
I grew
here's
up here in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, so like quick rundown with Trivium. I think why they have long run success is that they were able to adapt their styles when a lot of other bands played it safe. Because
Yep.
if you're a band and you have a certain style, and people like that certain style, you can literally repeat the same album 7 times, and people do it, and you're taking no risks.
Yeah.
Trivium took risks. You got to think about it. They went from
Hmm.
drop tuning and ascendancy to standard tuning, playing thrash metal in the Crusade, doing less than 10% brutal vocals. It's almost like the
Yeah.
jump Avenged Sevenfold made with Waking the Fallen to backcountry, you know,
I
and
feel
and
you,
it's
dude.
that backlash.
I feel you. I give them tons of respect because they changed the game. He had a article written about him in the Wall Street Journal too, and so we released our album In the Name of God in June 12th, 2020, right? And then it went to number 23 on the top 30, heavy metal charts on radio in the U.S. and stuff. And then a year later, when we wanted to commemorate, like this last June, we wanted to commemorate, do something cool for the 1 year anniversary of the album. I took our video In the Name of God, and I just, I sent it out. And Matt from Trivium was one of the guys, Chris Cale from Five Finger Death Punch, Gary Holt from Slayer and Exodus, Charlie Benante from Anthrax, Eric Peterson from Testament, and good old Max Cavalera. And they all watched the video. They all did a little review of it, and they were hyped. They loved it. Dude from Five Finger Death Punch is trying to learn the riff, and so I was thrilled that we released that little video. And it's like, who needs reviews from critics and things like that when you got the elite going, damn, that's a cool song, it's a cool video, good
Also,
job.
No, I think that's beautiful, dude. And honestly, one of the reasons I don't review music, like I like listening to it and I'll react to it, but I'll do like a small reaction. But the thing is like it's like you truly have to find somebody who's like similar or kind of likes that genre a little bit to give you a good review. Because like I've seen people who do death metal reviews
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
do like a thrash album, right, or like a rock
Yeah.
album, and give it the worst review in hell. You
Yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
another band does like another death metal album for that same person that's super cookie cutter and sounds
Yeah.
terrible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the thing is, it's such that elitist mentality. So I feel like when I tell bands, when you send people to review your album, make sure they're not like one sided or biased. To
Bro, I
multiple.
had a guy, I won't mention him. I had a guy say, hey, I'd love to You know, what they try to do is try to sell you shit now, right? They're like, we're going to do a review of your album in our magazine. Would you like to buy advertising space? And you're like, oh, so they kind of put you over a barrel. And like, if you want a good review, you got to buy an ad, And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, what kind of music do you like? Have you even heard my music? Why you want to review it? No, I'm not interested in doing an ad, over in Zimbabwe or whatever. It's like, everybody got a zine, everybody got a thing. And so it's like at the end of the day, like Matt even said, he's like, bro, you just do it for you. Don't do it for everybody else. And your fans will connect with you when you're being like most authentic. I added that last part, but that's my belief. If you're being you and being authentic, you'll actually find your tribe, right? Like we found the Becoming tribe. These people are folks that love heavy music. They don't want the typical cliche, been done a million times and, negative, negative, negative. They want something that's going to pump them up and they still love that heavy vibe. So yeah, Becoming Tribe's growing strong. We got just about 120K on Facebook. Just past like 6,000 on Instagram. So it's like it's growing, dude. When I dropped the album in June of 2020, we had like 1,700 likes. I was like, what? you know, it was kind of a trip, and I'm just like grateful and blown away how it's grown.
Hey, you know what? It's doing things like this and talking about it, man. I feel like in life, instead of planting a couple seeds and being disappointed half the time, plant 1,000 seeds. You know.
Bro, during the COVID, right? Everybody had to go on lockdown. So my wife and I, we just like, let's redo the backyard, put in, a little pavilion and shit. And I started growing like peppers, dude. So I'd be growing hot peppers and shit. So it's like some seeds make it, some don't. So you got to keep planting them, and then you got to take care of them when they grow. Gardening is like great analogies for fucking life, dude. Sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
dropped another F bomb. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna send you a letter with
Send the
with
bill.
tomato
Go
sauce.
ahead. Go ahead and
I'm
send
just-
the bill. Yeah, but hey, so thanks for having me on to talk about the album. The song everybody just heard, "How We Live," and we got a new video on the way for that. It's going to be done by Melody Myers from Design by Melody. She actually did all our videos from this album. She did the artwork for this album too. But she works with a lot of artists. Used to work for Combat and EMP, and so shout out to Melody. She's just totally awesome. But yeah, our video for Wish, for In the Name of God, The Storm, Through the Now, and now she's going to do How We Livin'. So
So,
we were stoked because when our
do you have a whole
last album was, yeah, say again.
do you have a whole band, or is this just
I
you?
have people I play with, right? So I've always been sort of like, the Tom Petty or the Bruce Springsteen guy, and every now and then I have some folks. I have one guy in the band. He's been with me for a long time. He's my lead guitar player, Amir Faladgar, but I play bass, drums, guitar, piano, sitar, oud, gokin, so I write everything, it's like, my franchise basically. And so for this next album I'm recording, I've got some guest appearances that I'm super excited about, dude. I got Sticks It In Ya, the drummer from Steel Panther, dude, just playing some fucking or some total metal, right? It's good stuff. And then I got Mike Tirana. He used to play with Ingve and Tony McAlpine and the chick from Nightwish, one of them. But this dude is like super cool, man. So he just finished a track, and then I went for this album that I'm working on. I wanted to like just have all these people I wanted to play with. So like I got my old music teacher, like from when I was 14. Dude's like 60 now, but he's burning up the fretboard still. I was like, dude, I always wanted to have you on a track, dude. Let me have you on this track. And he's just like honored to do it, you know? And then I'm doing some crossover stuff with some hip hop friends of mine. You know, this guy named The Architect. You know, for people who are into rap and hip hop, The Architect's like a legit dude. You know, and this other friend of mine called Shimako Noble, the Sword of the West. Right, and these are like Bay Area hip hop. Right, so I grew up here in the Bay Area. You know, I was sneaking into the clubs to see Forbidden and Exodus and Testament and Death Angel when I was a teenager. You know, my older brother, you know, sneaking me into places and stuff. So I grew up with that. I got to take lessons from Alex Skolnick. I got to open for all the bands I just mentioned, with the exception of Death Angel. I never got to open for them. But, you know, Napalm Death, Cannibal Corpse, I did that, right? And so that was always fun. And, you know, I had guys that played with me over the years, and, you know, some come and go, but it's always been my franchise. And you know, I'm like, when I write songs, I'll write the whole song and I'll say, okay, I want to bring in this person to do this part or do that part, right? So that's sort of what this next album is, right?
So, with do you ever plan, like, let's say the opportunity arises, because like you said, you've been getting offers and just you're talking to people. Would you ever consider a tour and hiring just a full-on squad to play?
Yeah, I don't think I need to hire them though. They'd want to do it. I mean, everybody get paid, yeah, but it's like, you know, it's not like Rent a Band, right? So it's like you know, professional musicians receive an hourly rate, you know, and you gotta, you know, it's like going on the road. You want to come home broke, right? It's like, you know, make a lot of money doing that, being the traveling T-shirt salesman and stuff. But you know, if there was a scenario that presented itself, that was practical, then absolutely. I got, you know, plenty of folks that would be down for the task. You know, my buddy Amir, who's in the band, he'd absolutely be there. And then, you know, I just take my pick of whoever else would join us on the crusade.
Dude, you got me like baffled right now because you're calling it traveling t-shirt salesman. I'm like just thinking about that so hard right now. I'm just like, it makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of messed up, but it makes sense at the
It's
same time.
true, dude. I mean, no, I'm not talking shit. I'm not talking smack. Like, I live more like a rock star having my day job than I ever did when I was like touring all the time, you know, and playing gigs all the time. You know, it's like, you know, it's one of those things. That's why I say have a day job, and then if you want to go play a gig and try to go on a tour, and you know, do it, right? You know, I mean, if a label comes in and says, hey, you know, here's a bunch of money, let's put you on the bus and have you going around the country, and you're going to come home broke and strung out and shit, you know? And you might make some money off these T-shirts because you're not going to make any money off the albums because we own you. We own everything, you know, and it's just you know, I'm just a realist, you know, and people, they need to understand it, right? Yeah, it's a fun job, but it's still a job, just like the Cypress Hill song says, you know. So you gotta, like any job, you want to, you know, have a profit margin and you want to do it right. But then with music, it's like you're the fine line, right? That's the tough thing about music, right? You know, you got to run it like a business if you want to be serious, but you can't do it for the money, right? Because then your music gets to be like something that it shouldn't be, you know?
No, I feel you, man. This is great stuff. That's why I like doing the metal mixtape because
Absolutely. You know, I love what you're doing, man. You have everybody on the shows and stuff like that. You had Zetro on recently, and you know, you had the dude from Suffocation. I'm like, go on, Omar. Good shit, good stuff.
hey, we've been doing this for a while, bro. But you
Yeah,
know
no
what?
doubt.
The thing is you know, I don't make a penny off of it. You know,
Yeah,
I didn't ask you for the CD. You donated it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I did this because I love it, man, and I have a family, and you know, I
I'm
take time
with
away
it.
for people like you.
Hey, dude. For a moment, I just gotta, you know, give a shout out to Insanity's Reign and Victim of Angels. Like, you know, I was like, check Omar out. You know, and what I love about you, dude, is like you're engaging. I love your little videos that you put out, like when you're just talking, here's the riff of the day. You know, it's just like so real, it's so authentic. You ain't a poser. You're like, you're the real deal, bro. And I love that about you, man. Because there's a lot of posers, dude. Like, hey, look at watch me play my guitar. You know, it's like, just shut up, dude. Just like, come on. You know, it's like, do something, do it right, do it with passion, be legit, be authentic. Don't go out and buy yourself the designer battle vest online, you know, and pretend you're metal for life when you're not, you know, like just you either are or you aren't, bro. You can't fake it. And I love your authenticity, Omar.
Oh well, thanks, man. You're making me blush. But all right, let's talk about man. So you wrote all the music for this, dude. Um,
Absolutely.
so
And the last album. I mean, all the albums. It's always been that way, right? So I got, you know, I was like about 98. I was like, all right, I'm tired of playing with other bands. Start my own franchise. Because it's always the same story, right? You have a band, you go out there, you hustle, I'm doing all the work, and then everybody else is sort of along for the ride, you know? And then I said, all right, I'm gonna start my own franchise, and you know, I wrote the album, right? And you know, went and recorded it, and then you know, it dropped another album in 2009. You know, I became a dad. And, you know, the kids were small and stuff, and so I took some time off, and then came back and dropped that other album, In the Name of God, the newest one in 2020. And this new album that I'm working on is probably, I don't know, maybe later 2022 sometime. You know, about halfway done with it right now. But just you know, having a lot of fun with it and stuff. So
no, it's pretty rad, dude. I like it that you could wrap your whole head around like the concept of your songs and be able to pump it out, you know. And a lot of bands that I know nowadays, believe it or not, like I was talking to Lee McKinley from Born Up Osiris, and he'll
oh
literally
yeah,
he'll write the guitars, the bass, and the drums for all his songs that he writes individually. You
yeah.
know, and
I
then
mean, I do all the tracks too, just like that. It's sometimes just easier, right? Like, you know, I'll start with a drum beat or a guitar riff, and you know, I'll just work it in my studio and get it recorded and do all the production and engineering. And you know, I'll be like, I'll listen to my favorite part's listening to it in the car. You know, you take a drive, you're like listening to a rough mix. You know, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go back and change that. And you go back and make your adjustments and so on. But I like to think of it as listening from a holistic perspective, right? So when I work with a drummer, like a you know a professional drummer, I'd be like, all right, I can talk their language. You know, if I had talked to a guitar player, I can talk their language. I mean, I could play all these things and demonstrate a little bit, but you know, like I like to be able to communicate with everybody and help the song to breathe and to grow, right? You know, you don't want to have everybody doing the same thing the whole time. You know, you got to make it multi-rhythm. At least for me, like I like when the bass line does one thing and the guitar does another thing, and you know, it kind of all comes together. It's like freaking ear candy, man.
no, I dig it, man. We're running out of time just a little
Oh,
bit right now. Yeah.
all
For
right.
all out there, we're talking to Jason from the band Becoming. We played their song "How We Living" off his new album "In the Name of God." For the new listeners out there, how would you describe what you sing about and what you play about?
So I like to call it the consciousness revolution, man. Like, you know, the consciousness revolution is basically in its simplest form, like, don't be a dick, you know, don't be a jerk, you know, try and elevate your frequency and, you know, contribute to the world in a positive way, right? You know, raise the vibration, the collective consciousness of humanity, right? We're totally like anti-hate, anti-divisiveness and all that sort of stuff. And we're all about innovation, not imitation. And, you know, if you haven't heard us and you know you find our music along the way, you'll find that there's a lot of texture and soundscapes to it, and you know we're basically singing about a lot of you know tough stuff that happens to every one of us in this world, and you know our music is shining a little light into the darkness and getting people pumped up. You know, battle for life, bro.
I love it. So after this interview, what song are we going to play for all of the beautiful people out there?
Cuss words aren't allowed until 10 o'clock. No
Yep.
cuss
So
words
what?
allowed. All right. So you know what? Just because we should play the storm. I'll tell you about the storm. Right. So the storm, the intro, what you'll hear is all these sound healing instruments, right? So, you know, the chakra crystal bowls, the Tibetan bowls, an Om wand, gongs, rain sticks, and all of this type of stuff. And then there's a drum beat layered over it. But the story behind that is my wife and I went to this sound healing meditation class. It was just so awesome, dude. I mean, if you ever done one of these things, it's pretty cool. So anyway, I stacked all the instruments on top of it, you know, because it was like about an hour long sessions. Each instrument, I layered it. It was like 26 tracks deep. So when you hear this intro, it will literally, if you hear it right on the right speakers and what have you, and turn it up a bit, it'll actually make you tingle all your chakras from the base to, all the way to your crown, and, so yeah, there's a little bit of a metaphysical element. We're not a Christian band. Like we got a bunch of like In the Name of God. The album was like, I was getting messages. Is it okay to use the F word in songs about Jesus? I'm like, bro, this ain't about Jesus. It's like God is the cosmic consciousness that lives within all of us. And I don't care what religion like, In the Name of God was all about like, say a prayer for the human to any God that whoever wants to say it to, like, so worship how you want, we don't care. But the consciousness is where your spirit breathes, man. Yeah, that's deep.
That was deep. All right, man. We're gonna end this interview. I'm gonna shoot you 5 questions before we end this interview. Are you ready?
Do it. I am so ready, dude. Bring it on.
All right, man. If what band do you think is underrated that came out of the '80s that deserves more attention?
Dokken was my favorite, dude. But there was another band called Leatherwolf. Leatherwolf didn't get enough love. They had the 3 guitars and they had a couple of good songs and some albums, but that's 80s style. They were kind of like bordering towards progressive, but yeah, I'll go Leatherwolf and Dokken.
Okay, what band do you think is overrated?
AC/DC. Go ahead. Send the booze. Haters gonna hate. I just never been a fan.
I am not going to boo.
Yeah, actually, we have somebody else who doesn't like AC/DC.
I mean, I respect AC/DC, but like, dude, really? Come on, people go a little zealous hard on that. It's just like for the common people, I think sometimes. No offense. I mean, they got some great songs along the way. They're no hate on them, but like, I was more always down with, like, you played one of my favorite songs at the beginning of the show, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. That's my favorite Iron Maiden album too. That Peace of Mind, and Live After Death was my first Iron Maiden album. My older brother had it. I stole it from him. He kicked my ass, but it was worth it, but yeah. So I was always more into like the virtuosity, right? My favorite guitar player is George Lynch, and I always loved the Shredders, wasn't into the glam thing too much. That's why I like Dokken. Yeah, they did kind of have a tint of that, but dude, and Rat, Motley Crue. Yeah, they all had a little bit of, but they got over it, right? So I'm always like passion, not fashion, right? It's all about the passion, not the fashion.
I like it, dude. If you could choose your death, but it had to be by somebody in a horror movie, who would you choose to kill you, and how would they do it?
Oh, that's a crazy question, dude. So it had to be a villain or just anybody from a horror movie, like one of the popular horror movies. Those are all pretty brutal deaths.
Dude, it could be the guy who kills John Wick's dog.
It could be Officer Doofy.
It could be Officer Doofy from Scary Movie, yeah.
Mr. Freeze, bro, because he would just freeze me, dog, and then maybe like I could get thawed out cryogenically later, and they can upload my consciousness to the Matrix.
I like it.
What a question.
All right, dude. If you could have only one weapon in a zombie apocalypse to kill the zombie horde besides the cure or a nuke, what would that weapon be? And you don't get unlimited ammo.
Dang, that's a crazy question. So our clarification, are imaginary weapons allowed, like from all the video games? Like you got all these like super weapons.
Sure.
I don't know. I would have to get like some crazy like a laser that would just like go out in like a freaking 10-mile radius from where you're standing, just like poof, like I seen that in a video game somewhere. The kids played. I was like, damn, killer graphics. That's a hell of a weapon.
Dude, no, I feel you, man. If you can bring back any musician to play one show from the dead, who is that one musician or artist?
Another really hard question. I mean, most people would say, Dimebag or something like that, but
say Freddie Mercury.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ronnie James Dio.
Oh yeah,
I love Dio's voice, dude. He was such a cool personality, and You know, I mean, I got to see Ozzy 100 times, you know, but I never got to see Ronnie James Dio, and I would love to see Dio just tear it up, man. He's got like the best voice. He was just like the nicest dude, you know. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Dio. And I totally agree, man. I've been such like a Bruce Dickinson like number one always, you know, in my head. And I just recently got into. I mean, I haven't recently, but I listened to the whole discography of Dio like a week ago, and I was like, you know what? I think Dio might be like the best heavy metal singer to ever live.
Dude, Man on a Silver Mountain. Like, if you go back, yeah. I love Bruce too. All right, you know, and how about that new Iron Maiden? By the way, good stuff. Yeah, dude, for real, I'm with you 100%. Before you dive into the next song and we have to wrap it up, I just want to give a shout out to Christopher Zeus Harris, who did our mastering on this album, In the Name of God. He's worked with Hatebreed, Suffocation, Shadows Fall, Queensryche, you know, you name it. Look up Christopher Zeus Harris. He's got an amazing roster, and he did our last album, Sonic Revelations 2. And you guys can get those albums, Sonic Revelations, or In the Name of God on Spotify, you know, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever your favorite platform is, or go to becoming.band and that'll take you to our page. Go to facebook.com/becomingband. Send me a message, you know, send us a message, and, you know, we get you, you know, a CD direct. If you become a fan or join the Becoming Tribe, you share our content out to everybody and earn a top fan badge, we ship you a free CD. So that's how we're growing our audience. You know, it's like by the fans, right? The people who actually, you know, dig what we're doing. Like I can't thank, you know, them enough. And we got this group on Facebook too called the Hard Rock and Heavy Metal Alliance. It's like 7,800 members strong. So it's like, it's awesome. Join up, check it out, you know, and yeah, thank you for having me on the show, and appreciate you, man.
Hey, Jason, I appreciate you being on the show, and I hope some people are tuning in, man, because we're getting pretty deep there. So we'll probably play your next song here around 10:30. We got to fit in, but everybody listening, if you just tuning in and you want to listen to this interview, it will be on YouTube on Saturday. So go to our YouTube page and you can find this interview.
Yeah, you're listening to the Metal Mixtape on KSKQ.
Thanks, Jason. I hope you have a wonderful day, dude. And we are going to play The Storm here in about 45 minutes. You have a good night, my friend.
You too, brother. Thanks, Omar. Have a great night, guys.
Later, man.
Later.